Katie with us. We've got Shane. We've got a bunch of people attending on here, and we're having some trouble going live on Facebook. So we're just going to present with the recording. So Katie, I know you wanted to talk to Shane, do a little interview tonight, and you got a recording to play. So I'm going to hand it over to you.
Okay, great. Thanks, Kurt. So tonight's topic for our webinar is, can you think yourself thin? The psychology of weight loss. So this is a massive aspect to weight loss, and people could know what to do in terms of, they know they need to kind of eat healthier, they need to eat less, they need to exercise. But why is it that if that's the solution, why is it so hard to maintain weight and have success with weight loss? So we're going to touch on that topic as we get through this webinar, but I'm really excited today to have Shane Edwards on the webinar. He's been very kind to give his time today for an interview, and we're going to have a little chat to him, and he's had some obviously experience with weight loss and weight gain and weight management. So Shane, thanks for joining us today.
Hi Katie, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Yeah, good, thank you.
Great. So Shane, I know that we've been friends for a while now, and we've had quite a few discussions about weight loss and you having goals to lose weight. So can we talk about perhaps like your most successful time when you were kind of just before you started on your journey for that particular time of losing weight, where you were, what motivated you? Okay, let's start with when was the last time that you were kind of at rock bottom and going, I need to make a change with my weight?
Okay, about 6 months ago, I was 26 kilos overweight, and I thought, well, I need to do something about this. My diabetes was playing up a little bit because of being overweight, and I thought, well, I need to do something about this. And they wanted to put me on needles, and I said no way to needles. So that's when I spoke to you, and we started the weight loss program, like you're teaching me how to eat more healthier, and then I also went on some of our hub products.
Okay, great. And so before you got started, I remember we did a supermarket tour, and I took you to the supermarket, and we looked at some of the foods that you were currently eating, and then looked at perhaps some alternatives that you could make that would help you with your weight loss goals. How did you find that useful, and how did that help you?
Yes, absolutely. It was very useful, and like it was hard at the start because it was like I was trying to get used to eating completely different foods, like in the sense like we were aiming for foods what didn't have a lot of sugar and things like that. So at first it was a bit challenging, but after about 2 weeks I got quite used to it, and I started feeling better and started feeling more healthier, and then I thought to myself, no, this is working, I need to keep going.
Yeah, great. And so was it really about finding foods in the supermarket that you could still enjoy but were just better choices? Is that what you found?
Yes, absolutely. And I was quite shocked in the sense that, there still is quite a few better options out there. Than sort of like eating all the junk food.
Yeah. And so I remember one of the things that you said to me, Shane, you said, you were struggling at the start, but then you started to have success. And so you said, you'd still be going out to dinner, but instead of picking, a certain meal, like a really heavy carb, high, sugar, high fat meal, you then made a different choice. Do you want to talk a bit about that? Like, what did you used to eat and then you changed and switched just so it was a better choice?
Yep, okay. Well, before I started making a better choice, I'll go to places like KFC, McDonald's, all the really bad restaurants, I call them now. And then once I started learning what you were teaching me, instead of going to places like that, I was still going out for meals, and I still do enjoy going out for meals, but instead of going to places like that, now I might go to, say, like a pub and eat like vegetables and a bit of meat instead of going to like KFC or McDonald's or somewhere like that.
Yeah. So yeah, obviously even like your steak and veggies, and even a small serving of chips is better than having a full McDonald's meal. So you still get to enjoy that, but and you're reducing your overall calories. You're still enjoying the meal, but you're not going down the McDonald's path or KFC. And so that made a difference for you?
Yes, definitely, absolutely. And, you know, like I still enjoy eating my chips and things like that and all, but, you know, it's just a matter of learning better ways to cook them. And what I mean by that as well is, like, especially if I'm having chips at home, instead of deep frying them, I just put a few on a tray and put them in the oven and like bake them in the oven. So then that way I'm not deep frying them. So I feel like even just little things like that have helped a lot as well.
Yeah, definitely. And so Shane, when you had that success and you made those changes and you started losing that weight, what other health benefits did you get from losing weight?
I felt more energetic. I just felt better in myself, like in the sense of not getting as tired. And like when I was going out for walks doing my flyer business, I noticed I could do a lot more walking. And especially when I was badly overweight, I used to get short of breath really easy. And then once I lost that weight, I found that my breathing was a hell of a lot better as well.
Wow. Okay, that's great benefit. And how about your joints? Did that improve as well as you lost some weight?
Yes, it did. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, great. And so, hang on a second. I just got to.
No worries.
The joys of doing it at home. So what I was going to ask you, so you then hit a roadblock and you had some challenges and started to gain some weight back. What emotionally were you feeling? What do you feel is like the biggest challenge for you, like with your weight emotionally?
Okay. Well, when I sort of stopped following the diet as well as what I was, I went for a stage where I just thought, no, bugger this, I want to eat what I want, and I started eating what I want. But what I noticed when I did that was my mood swings weren't as good. Like my depression definitely came back, and I started feeling lazy, like didn't want to do anything. But then one thing what I have to admit, what I was shocked about is like it was like I felt more heavier, like in the stomach. And I was shocked about that. But we're starting to sort of get back on the right track again. And I'm thinking that this time I definitely have to stick to it. So yes, I did put a bit of weight back on. But we are starting to get back to getting to a good result again.
Excellent. That's great, Shane. Kurt, are you still on the call?
I'm here. I just shut my video off.
Oh, okay, great. So Kurt, can you share with the audience, how can eating certain foods affect your mood? Like actually make you feel, depressed, or can they? I guess is a better question. What's your opinion?
Yeah. Well, I mean, so part of it is that when you go through I'm going to say like you're creating kind of that starvation in your body, your brain thinks that you're starving. What happens is that the hormones, the adrenal gland hormones are actually going to go up. Mm-hmm. And you're going to find that that's going to change your mood. You're going to find that your serotonin levels are going to change. You're going to find that the cortisol levels are going to change. All these different little hormones that we don't even think about, they're all going to change. And so that's part of it that's going to give you kind of a different mental function. And then, of course, just because now your brain is going to be running on a better fuel. Instead of running on sugar, it's going to run on hydrogen again, which is a whole lot better.
Wow. And so, and the other thing is, one thing, I learned was that you can actually, what's called spike your insulin levels, which is actually your blood sugar levels. And that can happen by eating a really sugary food. If you go and have that like can of Coke or, that ice cream, all of a sudden your sugar levels increase in your blood really quite quickly. That increases your glycemic, your index, your insulin levels, should I say, rather. And when the insulin levels go up, then they can quickly come down again, and that actually affects your mood, right?
Yeah, it affects your mood, and more, even more than that. That after a period of time, what ends up happening is that as you go through these ups and downs and all this, pretty soon your cells don't respond to the insulin anymore. And
Right.
it's kind of like if Milo came in the room or Buddy came in the room there with you, and you told your dog to shush up, right?
Yeah.
And your dog didn't listen, right? Does that ever happen?
Oh, it happens all the time. You did it just before.
Yeah, and that's what made me say that, right? Is because that's what happens with insulin, is that if your body, if you keep spiking these insulin and your cells see so much insulin, to pretty soon they're going to be like your dog Buddy, where they're going to go, yeah, whatever. She's not going to do anything. She's going to give me a piece of cheese if I just be quiet for a second. But that's what your body does on the inside. And I know it sounds kind of funny, but I'm trying to give everybody a mental picture so that you can see it and you can see how it's reacting to it. But you know what's interesting is that as I was reading about this yesterday, I was actually doing some reading on blood sugars and that, and they say that it's going to damage some parts of your body, but in some ways it's actually going to lower your risk of certain diseases. But so which would you rather have, heart disease or diabetes, right?
Right. Yeah. So that's a bit of a problem. So, so Shane, so you said you're now back on track to lose some weight. Have you learned any techniques? Have you picked up anything that triggers it emotionally? Like, what triggers you to go and eat that food? Is there a thought or a feeling that happens before you actually start consuming the foods that you know that perhaps you shouldn't?
Yeah, probably, it's like, how can I explain it? It's like I feel like I need a sugar rush, but I know being a diabetic, I've got to be careful of that. So, it can be hard in the sense like you sort of feel like, oh, I feel like eating that cake, or I feel like eating that piece of chocolate. But then as soon as I start thinking about my diabetes, and then as soon as I sort of think, Shane, you're not supposed to eat that, then it sort of like helps me not to eat it. Like sometimes I will admit I still eat it, but I'm not eating it nowhere near to the amount of like what I used to.
Yeah, that's great. And so when you do eat it, how do you feel straight after when you've eaten it, after you've finished consuming it?
I'm going to be upfront here. I feel very guilty and think I shouldn't have done that.
Right.
But in the same time in saying that, like I try not to be too hard on myself. Like I then try to say to myself, well, Shane, you're improving and you're doing better than what you were, say, like 6-8 months ago. So I sort of tried to reverse it into something positive. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's great, and that's the best way to do it. It's interesting, Kurt, what Shane just shared there, that he felt guilty. I recall, and I'm sure everyone does, where you think, oh, I shouldn't eat that, and then you eat it and you feel bad for eating it. I struggled with weight as a younger, a teenager, and so many times I would eat something and then regret eating it afterwards. And, I would sometimes try and use that forward project that feeling of regret and feeling so bad, then why do I want to eat it if I'm going to feel so bad, because now I just ruined it. Like, if you're going to eat food, you want to enjoy it. Of course you want to enjoy it. You don't want to feel guilty for eating it, and you shouldn't feel guilty for eating it. But, if you're constantly making yourself feel guilty, now you've got a real problem, because now you're really not even, you're not getting the benefit or enjoyment out of food. So it's really interesting. And so this is a really interesting topic, because they say that the psychology of eating and being mindful and managing your thoughts, and one of the key things they say is, when you eat, are you eating because you're hungry, or because you're sad, bored, lonely, depressed, or just out of habit? Do you catch yourself, and I guess I'll even ask you this question, Kurt, do you catch yourself ever eating, and I know you've made some changes now, and it's great. Do you ever catch yourself eating because you're bored, tired, lonely, or depressed?
Yeah, and I was just thinking about that as you said that. It's interesting. One of my patients about 20 years ago, she was a professor here at the local college, and she had wrote her thesis on why we're all fat in America. And part of it is because of Christianity, right? I mean, as we look at the religion, what do? We celebrate. When we celebrate, what do we eat? What do we do? We all get together, we eat, right? And when it's a funeral and we're all sad, what do we all do?
Eat.
We get together, we eat, right? So we're eating when we're sad, we're eating when we're happy, we're eating when we're rewarding ourselves, and then so naturally, you know, when you do something bad and you feel sad about something, what are you gonna do? Right? You're gonna eat. And the bad part about it is that when you're stressed out and you're sad about something, you're not gonna crave carrots.
No.
You're gonna crave a candy bar or a piece of apple pie, right? Right, Shane?
Yeah, true. I agree for sure.
Right? And so you got to retrain yourself and get yourself so that you use like I know what you're saying, Katie, is that you use food for nutrition, and then on top of it, you know, you were saying, well, how do you know if you're eating because of boredom or whatever? But think about this, like if your brain says to you, it says, hey, Shane, you need some vitamin C. Do you even know what that signal is? I mean, if your brain says, hey, Shane, you need some vitamin C today, what does that signal feel like to you? Do you, right?
Probably knowing me, I'll ignore it. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, like I'd rather be straight up front. Yeah, knowing me, I think, yeah, okay, whatever, and sort of ignore it, yeah.
Yeah, you wouldn't, because you don't know the language. It's like I tell people, I don't know Chinese. If my brain used Chinese and it said to me, it said, Kurt, you need vitamin C, but it said it in Chinese, I'm not going to know what the brain is saying. I'm just going to have that feeling, oh, I'm hungry, and I'm going to go eat. But really the signal wasn't that I was hungry. The signal was I needed more vitamin C. And so that's part of the problem too, is that we don't speak the same language that our brain speaks.
And then there's the other part of it too, like what about your stomach will tell you. So one of the things I learned over the years was to try and be disciplined in regards to waiting for the hunger pain to start. So, you know, you have your breakfast, and before I eat a snack or a meal, is that I'm waiting for that signal in my stomach to say, you know, that kind of little grumbly feeling that your stomach's really kind of empty, and that your brain's telling you it's time to go and, you know, eat some fuel, have some food, and actually satisfy that hunger pain. I feel that perhaps a lot of people don't wait for that hunger pain at all, and may actually not even experience that hunger pain, and may forget what that hunger pain really feels like. What does it really feel like to be hungry? And perhaps you might experience it a few times a week, but how often do you experience it? So they say that, and Michael just asked that, you know, mentioned it before in the comments. Thank you, Michael. But yes, I mean, that's a really relevant point. And so that is one of the other things, is that because if you're sad, bored, lonely, or depressed, obviously you don't want to be eating. That's not the ideal time or feeling to eat because of those reasons. It's better to be eating when you're actually hungry. So how often do you eat when you're hungry? Like how often do you experience the hunger that you actually feel, oh, it's time for another meal?
Yeah. You know, it's interesting you asked me that. I mean, I was thinking about that the other day. You know, since I started kind of working with the program that I'm doing now here the last month or so, I really, maybe once a day I get hungry now.
Right.
Yeah, but I'm watching on what I'm doing, you know, like I've made sure that I'm looking at a lot of different foods. I'm eating better quality, you know, I'm making sure that I'm getting the right amount of fat grams and carb grams and things like that. And I'm really paying a lot more attention to that, and that helps out. It really helps out.
Yeah, great. And Shane, how do you feel about that? How often do you eat when you're hungry versus not actually really being hungry, that you're eating just for the sake of it?
I find, you know, like if I don't feel hungry, I don't eat. But then, like, I find when I'm struggling with my depression is like, that's like my danger zone, in the sense that when I am feeling down, I just want to stuff my face 24/7. And that's what I pretty much did when I sort of stopped eating more healthier. So yeah, but you know, like I'm probably still I'm trying to do what you've taught me in the sense of 6 smaller meals over the day. And I mean, it's not easy to do, but at the same time, you know, like it is improving and it is getting more easier. And I find by doing that as well, I'm eating a lot less in the sense like I'm not piling my plate up as much.
Yeah. Yeah. Great. And so how are you managing, like, with your depression? Like, what strategies have you used, or what ways do you use to manage that? Do you catch yourself now, or, I mean, that's a really serious issue, I guess, because it can be really devastating to suffer from really, chronic depression. So, I've not experienced it, and it must be horrible. But I understand that you have periods where you go through that depression and then you'll like come out of the depression and then turn things around again.
Yeah, no, absolutely. A while ago, like a year ago, I could sort of be in that depression for a few weeks. And I mean, that was horrible.
Right.
But now it's like, as soon as I feel like it's coming on, I could sort of snap out of it a lot quicker. And I mean, quite often now, it might just last a day, and then, or sometimes it doesn't even last a day, because one of our great products that I am on, what I do is as soon as I notice that I'm feeling a bit down, I take an extra dosage of it, and then that just picks me up, and then I don't actually fall into that depression. So, I mean, our products are fantastic.
Wow. What product is that? Just for everyone watching, what product is it that helps you?
Yeah, it's called Spectramax.
Okay, great.
Yeah, that would have to be one of my favourite products because of that reason. In the sense, like, as soon as I feel like I'm struggling, or even if I just feel a little bit flat, I take an extra dosage of that, and then it definitely picks me up for sure.
Well, isn't that really interesting, Kurt? So Shane's identified and recognized that with his mood, that the mineral drink Spectramax assists with that. And then obviously that has a flow-on effect to feeling depressed, which has a flow-on effect to eating. So, it's just amazing, the relationship. We kind of think that things are separate, but when you really start to analyze it and discuss it, you can see the relationship between everything.
Yeah, it's really good. That's a heck of a lot better than reaching for a candy bar or a ho-ho or something like that.
Yeah. Right. So for the next little bit, so we've got about 10 minutes left. I wanted to share a little video for us to watch. It's actually about the psychology of eating, and it just goes for a few minutes. So can I share this just for a second? Just bear with me.
You got the control?
Yeah, I think so. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, here we go. I'm just going to share. Thanks, everyone. Okay.
Hello, I'm Dr. Catherine Nordel, APA's Executive Director for Professional Practice. Welcome to another episode of This is Psychology. When it comes to losing weight, people often focus on eating less and exercising more. But a recent survey of psychologists suggests that dieters should pay attention to the role emotions play in weight gain and loss if they hope to succeed. When asked which strategies are essential to losing weight and keeping it off, 44% of the psychologists in the survey said understanding and managing the behaviors and emotions related to weight management is an essential factor in addressing weight loss with their clients. Almost as many cited emotional eating as a barrier to weight loss and included maintaining regular exercise and making proper food choices in general as keys to shedding pounds. 92% of 306 survey respondents who provide weight loss treatment in their practice reported helping a client address underlying emotional issues related to weight gain. More than 70% identified cognitive therapy, problem solving, and mindfulness as excellent or good weight loss strategies. Cognitive therapy helps people identify and address their negative thoughts and emotions that can lead to unhealthy behaviors. Mindfulness means allowing thoughts and emotions to come and go without judging them, and instead concentrating on being aware of and in the moment. Anyone who has ever tried to lose a few pounds and keep them off knows that doing so just isn't easy. The good news is that research and clinical experience have shown that in addition to behavioral approaches, cognitive behavior therapy that targets emotional barriers helps people lose weight. The survey of a total of more than 1,300 licensed psychologists was designed and conducted by the Consumer Reports National Research Center in partnership with experts provided by APA. Although it is generally accepted that weight problems are most often caused by a combination of biological, emotional, behavioral, and environmental factors, these results show the key role of stress and emotional regulation in losing weight. Therefore, the best weight loss tactics should integrate strategies to address emotion and behavior, as well as lifestyle approaches to exercise and making healthy eating choices. To learn more about psychological research on weight and behavior and how psychologists can help, visit our website at apa.org.
Right. Isn't that interesting? Psychology. So being mindfulness was one of the strategies she talked about. What do you think of that, Kurt?
I think it's a great thing to talk about. You know, we gotta have our brain in the right pattern.
Yeah, definitely. So one of the other things about environmental factors that can affect you. So if you're in an environment where you're feeling stressed all the time, you know, that's another emotion that can have a big impact on eating. That's probably the emotion that affects me the most is stress. If I get really stressed, I'll want to chew something. I mean, one alternative solution I'll have to eating food would be to chew gum if I was stressed. That could be an option. But it's just really interesting that these sorts of things can have a big impact to the psychology. Another one that actually really affects me a lot, Kurt, is lack of sleep. If I'm feeling tired, I will definitely want to eat more because I'm trying to wake my brain up. And so if I've not had much sleep and I do it consistently, and that's why, you would have heard Kurt them talk about the relationship between not getting enough sleep at night and weight management or gaining weight.
Yeah. When you talk about sleep, you know, that's melatonin. Again, it comes from the adrenal glands. You talk about stress, that's cortisol. It comes from the adrenal glands. We talk about depression, you know, that's serotonin. That affects the adrenaline and norepinephrine, and that comes from the adrenal glands. So all of these things, you know, I mean, it really relates to adrenal glands, like we were talking about earlier when we had our last webinar. We were talking about the green tea.
Yeah. And so, you know, I do want to bring in one product that I've found that's really been helpful because it helps to boost energy. And definitely when you've got more energy, you want to go out and do more exercise. I find that the H pill has been really helpful. Shane, I know that you've been taking that on and off. How have you found when you were on the H pill that helped you with your weight management?
Absolutely fantastic in the sense it made me want to eat less. Like I felt full. And even a friend of mine, Rebecca is her name, she said the same thing. Like when she started taking the H pill, she turned and said, Shane, I can't believe the way it makes me feel full. She goes, I believe I'm eating less. And I found that as well. So when I was doing well at losing the weight, I was on the H pill then. And, you know, I will say absolutely 100% it definitely helps you with weight loss.
Right.
So there's a few aspects of the H pill there, Kurt. So one, it helps to enhance mood, or that's something I've found, as well as energy. Can you explain for the people on the call how that actually affects the end result being weight management or weight loss?
Yeah, well, I think, you know, from what I've read up and what I believe is not only does it make you feel good, but when your body isn't producing all that cortisol and it's not messing around with your insulin, because cortisol messes around with all the other hormones, you're going to have better efficiency and as burning sugars as energy. And when you have better results with burning the sugar as energy, now it's not going to go through the process of creating new fat, and so you're going to have less problems with that. But the other thing is that as we remove the glycation, as we remove the lipofuscin, think of it like a race car. right? If you take and you change your oil in your race car and you put fresh oil in there, it's going to make it so the motor's going to run better. And that's the same thing in our body. If we take the sludge out, we take the garbage out, it's going to make it so that our mitochondria, our engines of each cell, it's going to power up better, and it's going to work more efficiently. We're going to have more energy, and like everybody, like both of you are saying, we're going to have better fuel efficiency that way.
Yeah, great. Yeah, so that's just for everyone on the call. Hopefully that's helpful information. The other thing too, I guess I wanted to finish with, Kurt, is I guess body image, or how you perceive yourself. Do you perceive yourself as a person that is a healthy weight, or do you perceive yourself as somebody who's overweight? Because you know, the I guess the tagline that I use, can you think yourself thin? If you visualize yourself as being fit, healthy, athletic, versus how you must feel or think about yourself now, how do you think that's actually impacting your behavior, or do you think it's impacting your behavior?
Yeah, exactly, right? I mean, if you're asking me, you say, well, how do I see myself as my body image? I mean, round is a shape, right? So I'm in shape. It's not a good shape, but you know, I'm just joking. But you know, that's why if you go back a year ago when I was talking about helping people set their New Year's resolutions, right? Instead of setting a New Year's resolution and saying, I'm going to lose 50 pounds, right? And then you're always disappointing yourself because you jump on the scale in February and you go, oh man, I didn't do it. And then you jump on your scale in March and you go, man, I didn't do it. You get to April and you're going, I didn't do it. You get to June and you're going, oh, I still didn't do it. So now all of a sudden you quit. And so what I try and teach people is, for a New Year's resolution, a different way of doing it is think about it like this. Think about, what can I do today to help myself to get into better shape? What can I do today that I can make it so that I can hit my goal of losing that extra 10 pounds? What can I use today so I can lose a pound today? And when you start looking at it that way, what you're going to find is that it's easier to achieve that goal. And now mentally, you're going to start having better thought patterns, and you get what you think about the most. If you think about, you know, negatively, that's what you're going to have, and you're going to create that inside your body.
Yeah, and then I can imagine that thought will eventually go from what can I do today to, you know, help contribute to my weight loss goal, will be what can I do today to help maintain my weight? Because, you know, once you reach your ideal weight, you know, you obviously don't want to put it back on. So now it's really the same strategy, I think, Kurt. I mean, you still need to watch what you eat. You still need to exercise. You still need to be mindful. You still need to apply all the same techniques once you actually reach your goal. And then if it kind of gets a little bit off track, you need to rein it in before it blows out completely. So, you know, weight maintenance as opposed to weight loss, I think the same strategy. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, and I remember, you know, like my ex-wife, I mean, she would go and you'd see her at holidays, she'd eat, right? And then she'd starve herself the next week and she'd be back down to her goal weight, just like that. Right. People like yourself, you don't do that. I mean, I've never had to do that because I never did. I should have.
Yeah. So anyway, and they say, just in closing, I just wanted to mention that, you know, if somebody is recognizing through this discussion that there's a big emotional component to their weight, then, you know, considering counseling or seeing a psychologist or having a coach can be a strategy that you could engage in so that it could assist you with your goals. I know, obviously, Kurt, you've got things in hand, but what do you think about that, having a coach, a weight loss coach?
Well, you know, maybe, I mean, I don't know if you really need a coach as much as you need somebody that will keep you accountable.
Yeah,
right?
Well, that's what a coach would do, that, wouldn't they?
Yeah, so like when we started this fitness community, you know, one of the things that I told you, I said, I'm going to lose this 50 pounds. This is what I'm going to do. And I did that on purpose because I want you guys to help me keep my accountability for, I made this commitment, and I want you to say, hey, Kurt, you know, should you be eating that second piece of pie?
Great. And so even doing these calls, I imagine now that'll help you be more mindful about what happens tomorrow and the day after, because we've been talking about it and discussing it. And hopefully for those of you who are on the call, or if you're watching the recording, hopefully you've got some valuable tips from this call that you can utilize then moving forward that can help you with your goals as well.
You bet.
Yeah. Do you want to add anything else, Shane or Kurt, before we close out?
No, I can't think of anything, no.
I just wanted to say thanks, everybody. And Katie, Shane, thanks for being here. Thanks
welcome.
for being part of the panel, so we can, just keep getting this information out to people. And for those of you who are listening to the recording, give us a call. Just put a quick message on here on the group that just says, hey, I'd like to be on the program. And Katie or I or one of the other leaders on this, we'll get you on here and we'll interview you and have you share your ideas as well. I think that's really, really important.
Great. Thanks, Kurt. Thanks, Shane, for joining us.
You're welcome.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.